Charles Leclerc just said something about Lewis Hamilton that Ferrari fans never saw coming. His latest comments caught the paddock off guard and set Maranello buzzing. Fans wondered if these two drivers could really coexist. Now Leclerc himself has spoken up. But was this just friendly praise? Or is Leclerc hinting at tensions that Ferrari wants hidden from view? Leclerc didn't hold back when asked about Hamilton's arrival at Ferrari. Leclerc called Hamilton's arrival new territory for Ferrari. On the surface, it sounded like a welcome. But what was beneath that? Insiders say it was a rare moment of honesty in Formula One. He acknowledged the challenge, not in handling the car, but in adapting to Hamilton's presence. He called him a legend of the sport, but also admitted Ferrari would need to adjust. And that's where the real message lies. Leclerc spent years as Ferrari's main focus. Since Vettel's departure, he shaped their development, led their strategy, and carried their hopes. But now Hamilton is in the garage and that dynamic has changed. Fans were quick to react. Some saw it as a genuine show of sportsmanship. Others weren't convinced at all. Was Leclerc signaling a power struggle ahead? Was he reminding Ferrari where his loyalty stands? History suggests Ferrari doesn't always handle two strong drivers well. Alonso and Massa, Vettel and Leclerc. These pairings all started with mutual respect before tensions grew. Could this go the same way? Leclerc's statement wasn't loud, but it was telling. Is he preparing for a fair fight, or making sure Ferrari doesn't forget who was here first? Ferrari hasn't dealt with a driver pairing like this in years. Leclerc's statement wasn't only about Hamilton, it was about the change, which is taking place inside Maranello. Reports from inside the team suggest Hamilton's arrival caused an immediate shift. The usual internal hierarchy looks less defined. This balance was evident during pre-season testing in Bahrain, where both Leclerc and Hamilton influenced car setup choices instead of one voice leading the way. Insiders say Ferrari's technical team is carefully managing the situation. They know that apprehension may arise when two top-tier drivers push the team in different directions. Leclerc's preferences have shaped Ferrari's development for years, but Hamilton's input, backed by his extensive experience at Mercedes, is now playing a major role in decision-making. One major factor is Ferrari's race operations. The team historically favors a lead driver when it comes to strategy calls and in-race priorities. In 2018, Sebastian Vettel was given clear preference over Kimi Räikkönen, and even in 2022, Leclerc's status over Carlos Sainz became apparent as the season progressed. Leclerc's choice of words reflected this uncertainty. He didn't frame Hamilton's arrival as a direct challenge, but he made it clear that Ferrari isn't operating as it once did. If the season unfolds with both drivers in title contention, Ferrari will eventually have to make a choice. So how long does this balance last? And when the moment of decision comes, who does Ferrari truly back? Ferrari's internal power structure is changing, and Hamilton's arrival is forcing a rethink at the very top. Leclerc has long been Ferrari's golden driver. But does that status hold when a seven-time champion enters the picture? Ferrari's leadership, John Elkann, Benedetto Vigna, and Fred Vasseur, are managing more than just a driver pairing. Hamilton's move has global implications, and his influence stretches beyond the paddock. Sponsors, media, and commercial partners see Hamilton as an ultra-ist for Ferrari's brand. This creates an unprecedented dynamic in the Scuderia camp. Leclerc remains deeply connected to Ferrari's identity. The Tifosi adore him, but Hamilton's commercial appeal is undeniable, and Ferrari's corporate wing is taking notice. Behind closed doors, sources suggest Ferrari's leadership is walking a fine line. They know they must balance Hamilton's star power with Leclerc's established role. But if Ferrari faces a title fight, who gets the strategic preference? Recent reports indicate team meetings have become more politically charged. Some in Ferrari's ranks view Hamilton as a catalyst for modernization, while others worry that his influence could disrupt the team's long-term vision. This power evolution won't be fully visible until race day. But when the moment comes, who gets the undercut, the preferred tire strategy, or the crucial mid-race decision? Ferrari's simulator program has always been a critical tool in fine-tuning performance. Until now, Leclerc's driving style dictated much of the development focus. But with Hamilton's arrival, the feedback loop has changed. Sources inside Maranello divulge Hamilton has already introduced a new approach to Ferrari's simulator work. He's pretty familiar with rigorous data-driven refinement, something that Ferrari historically struggled with. Engineers are reportedly adapting some of these methods. They're integrating Hamilton's feedback into their process. Leclerc, however, isn't backing down. He knows Ferrari inside out, and his influence over setup decisions remains significant. The real challenge arises when their inputs diverge. If Hamilton pushes for a more rear-stable car while Leclerc prefers front-end sharpness, whose feedback carries more weight? The simulator isn't just about race pace, it's about strategy. Teams use this data to predict tire degradation, fuel consumption, and optimal race setups. Hamilton's experience managing long stints at Mercedes could change Ferrari's race simulations and potentially alter pit stop strategies and tire usage models. One major factor remains unresolved: who Ferrari's technical team ultimately leans toward. Engineers value consistency, and Leclerc has provided that for years. But if Hamilton's insights prove more effective in refining the SF25, Ferrari may have to rethink its traditional approach. Could this be the first quiet battle between the two drivers, fought behind closed doors? Ferrari's engineers have already identified the differences between Leclerc and Hamilton's driving techniques. From braking points to tire wear, both drivers approach the SF25 in distinct ways. Early telemetry analysis suggests Hamilton takes a more conservative approach into braking zones, extending tire life over a race stint. His corner exits are smoother and they reduce rear degradation. Leclerc, on the other hand, pushes aggressively into corners. He uses sharper braking to maximize single-lap performance. His style has shaped Ferrari's past development, but now, Hamilton's input is carrying equal weight. This creates a major technical balancing act. According to analysts, engineers will have to decide whether to build a car that favors Hamilton's race-long consistency or Leclerc's raw speed in qualifying. Insiders claim that during early testing, Hamilton provided detailed feedback on how Ferrari could refine their race execution. However, Leclerc's deeper familiarity with Ferrari's historical data gives him an edge in understanding how the team has evolved their setups over time. Sources indicate Ferrari's data comparison meetings have already ignited internal discussions. Some engineers lean towards Hamilton's methodical approach. They argue it provides more stability over a full Grand Prix. Others remain loyal to Leclerc's aggressive style, which has been Ferrari's foundation for years. While Ferrari's technical team works to optimize both approaches, one unavoidable reality shines. Eventually, one philosophy will gain the upper hand. Whether it happens through setup preferences, in-race performance, or strategy calls, the numbers will tell the story. If one driver extracts better results early in the season, Ferrari may make choices that change the pecking order inside the garage. And once that shift begins, reversing it could be impossible. At least analysts say so. Leclerc has been Ferrari's golden boy in the media for years, but Hamilton's arrival changes everything. The Brian brings an entirely different level of global attention, and Ferrari's PR team now faces a balancing act they haven't dealt with in decades. Historically, Ferrari's media machine has always favored a clear number one driver. In the Schumacher era, Rubens Barrichello played the supporting role. During Alonso's tenure, the team revolved around him. Even in the Vettel years, Ferrari's messaging subtly reinforced his leadership, until Leclerc forced a change. Now, for the first time in years, two global megastars share the same stage. This creates a unique challenge for Ferrari's communication strategy. Leclerc is measured and calculated when speaking to the press. He often stays in line with Ferrari's traditional PR approach. Hamilton, however, has never shied away from speaking his mind. His outspoken nature, social activism, and a narrative-dominant approach indicate that Ferrari needs to be prepared for situations beyond their usual playbook. Moreover, the Italian media adds another layer of complexity. The tifosi expect passion, transparency, and results. If Hamilton delivers early wins, the coverage will shift in his favor and potentially sideline Leclerc in the public eye. But what if Leclerc outperforms Hamilton? Well, Scuderia is a tough territory. Hamilton has used media influence to his advantage before. At Mercedes, he shaped team messaging during title fights and directed public attention towards spicy controversies. If tensions show up at Ferrari, does Hamilton's global reach give him leverage in internal disputes? Inside sources suggest Ferrari's PR team is already working behind the scenes to control the balance. They want to promote unity while avoiding the perception of favoritism. But as the season unfolds, public perception can become just as powerful as on-track performance. If media narratives tilt too far in one direction, Ferrari may find themselves pressured into making choices they never planned for. Ferrari's season is already seeing unexpected dimensions, and the real test hasn't even begun. Leclerc and Hamilton's dynamic is changing fast, but will the balance hold when the stakes get higher? Internal decisions, media pressure, and on-track battles could change everything before the first checkered flag drops. What happens when Ferrari is forced to make a choice? Stick around and subscribe. The answer will come once the race begins.